I believe that the universe can absolutely change your life. If you feel uncomfortable, it's a little calling from the universe for you to change. And if you don't listen to this tiny calling, then you get a bit of a push from the universe. It could come in form of a bad cold or a broken toe. If you still don't listen to this, then it comes in a nudge, a very strong nudge. And it could be at this point where you stay up at night worrying about a crisis, or you lose your appetite because of what's going on. You start praying a lot more, you negotiate with God. And if all works out, God hears your prayers and crisis is averted. But if you don't change, you are then forced. Boom. The universe throws something at you that makes you change overnight. And this comes in the form of a death of a loved one, a divorce, a terminal illness, a death sentence. I've had many messages from the universe. Through my journey, it's been really, really interesting. And I feel that every time the universe speaks to me, it is up to me to look within myself to find out how I can become limitless. Limitless to me means showing up. It means being present in this moment. It means that you are educated but still open to learn. Limitless to me means that you have so much respect within yourself, that your biases are not set in stone, and you're willing to change, and you're also willing to say you are flawed. Limitless to me means that you are excellent in your pursuit of achievement, and your attention is always on your intention. Limitless means that your promises are of utmost importance, especially those you keep to yourself. I am a media personality. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, and did I say wife? I need to say wife. The husband is in the audience. I know, give him a round of applause. He's such a... Or we can even give him an because, he's a good husband, and I did well there. So I wear a lot of hats, and I always like to be this positive person in the room. I don't want to be defined by my unfortunate circumstances. I don't want to be known as that person who lost her father at the age of 6, who made her realize that life is extremely fickle. Or the person who continues to mourn her brother, whose death made her live in fear, or understand that you have to live with caution. I don't want to be known as that person who, when I was diagnosed with hepatitis, and it's not what you're thinking, I ate at a kibanda and it was unwashed skooma, honestly. I was baffled that I got diagnosed with hepatitis. But I was in bed for 3 months, which means I lost my job. So I don't want to be known as that person who was made to feel disposable, replaceable, and suddenly started feeling insecure. I don't want to be known as the person who saw her mother get shot and understood that happiness can be snatched away from you in an instant. I don't want to be known as the person who had all these many miscarriages that made her question everything about herself and her God. I don't want to be known as the person who was bullied well into her 30s, that it almost broke her. These, according to me, are life lessons. And every life lesson has taught me to go within myself, to find out who I am, and to become more resilient. So my story starts during COVID, and it's not a monumental trauma that made me change. It was actually just a small little push from the universe that shone light on the fact that I needed to change. COVID was hard. It was a tap for some, a nudge for others, a shove, a push. It was a traumatic event for many. It took away so many things that I'm used to. Like, for example, standing on stage, engaging with people like you. And yes, the pun was intended. Hugs were not allowed. In fact, we still go around asking people, can I hug you? Can I hug you? It really bothered me to watch my children go to school in masks. Friends of mine are still inconsolable because of what they went through, and they did not get any closure. And I'm sure some of you in the audience may have lost a job, may have dug into your savings, maybe you felt completely out of control or vulnerable, not only to the virus, but to the circumstances that the virus brought with it. I thrive being surrounded by people. I'm a people person. I love being around people. And COVID took away the people element. So suddenly, I had to sit down and define myself as a daughter, a mother, a wife, without the people element, as a public person, without the people element. And I couldn't define myself. It was fuzzy. It was blurry. It sent me into a complete downward spiral. It gave me discomfort. I was uneasy. I was grieving a person I thought I was. I was mourning the loss of who I was because I was no longer going from meeting to meeting, event to event. I was with myself. So I took it out of my hair. I dyed my hair many different colors. I started binge eating, and I knew I was very well aware of my self-sabotage. I'd wake up in the mornings and I'd look at myself in the mirror and I didn't like what looked back at me. So inside of me, I was waiting for a shove from the universe, like, come on, so I can change overnight, but it wasn't coming. And I knew, I was very aware that this discomfort was something I needed to listen to and lean into in order for me to change. It was a calling to become limitless, if you will. One day I sat down and I closed my eyes and I asked myself who I'd like to show up as. Who would I like to show up as? What is my purpose? What I'm about to say to you may confuse you or you could resonate. But as I closed my eyes that day, I remembered my future. My future was vibrant. It was joyful. It was full of laughter and health. It was limitless. Yet my present was limited. I was limited to bad thoughts and negative energy. I was limited to bad eating habits and doing nothing about it, self-sabotage, if you would. I was limited to gossip and envy. I was in a box and I was feeling so limited that it was taking everything out of me, including my joy. I knew that I was living unconsciously. I knew that I needed to pick myself up and live more deliberately. I knew the onus was on me, as uncomfortable as it felt, and that's when I knew that that's what I needed to do. I had the tools. I'd been through this before. So I took it upon myself to create 4 things that I do daily to help me inch closer to being limitless. The first thing is self-development. Are we hands-on excellent? Who told us that being mediocre or average is okay? Why can't we be excellent in everything we do? My yoga teacher always quotes Don Miguel Ruiz, the book, The Four Agreements. And one of the agreements is don't take anything personally. And this falls under self-development, I believe. So in regards to self-development, I would say go from blah to average to spectacular in everything you do. And don't take things personally. Number 2, communication. A lot of us are addicted to scrolling mindlessly, the dopamine rush. In fact, we want a quick fix with everything. We've forgotten how to communicate. We've forgotten how to have conversations. Having conversations is a dying art. And I'm not talking about small talk. Yep, there's the weather, there's inflation, there's petrol prices, there's the election. We can discuss all these things all the time. But it's very superficial. When was the last time you had a really, really good conversation? When was the last time you asked questions that somebody had to think about for a second and be like, nobody's ever asked me that. How do I respond to this? When was the last time you got to know somebody really well, even if that person was just an acquaintance? You didn't need something from that person. Listening. We don't listen anymore either. We stop listening. The best person in your life is the one who listens the most to you. It's often your mom, right? But how about you become the person who listens to somebody else? You'll be wanted around more, I'm telling you that. We don't read anymore. We've stopped absorbing information. We've stopped becoming those people with information on our fingertips. Reading is a dying art. And I'm not talking about Audible. That is not reading. For your information, that's listening. And again, even if you've got it in the background, how much are you paying attention? And also another thing that I'd like to say when it comes to communication, the most silent person is the one who probably needs to be heard the most. Pay attention to that. Number 3, breathing. Breathing slows things down. Breathing allows us to soak it in, to take it in. We're always in a rush. We're in a rat race. We're on for the next thing. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? We've forgotten our breath. Apparently, Moses one day had the audacity to ask God, "What is your name?" And God responded, YHWH. I don't know how true this story is, but according to the story, human beings put logic in it, and we threw vowels in there. And the name became Yahweh. Yahweh. But if you think about it, if God really did say, my name is YHWH, then maybe he said his name is breath. Listen. When you inhale, maybe you make the sound YH. And when you exhale, maybe you make the sound WH. So isn't it true then that every time we take a breath, we are saying God's name? When a baby takes her first breath, she says God's name. And as we exit the world and exhale, we say God's name. And even as an atheist is telling you, I don't believe in God, he's taking God's name. Breath brings you back into the present moment. It brings you now, here, or nowhere. Number 4, gut health. I've recently become very passionate about my gut. And I want to say that your health starts in your mouth, but it's really broken down in your gut. And a lot of the times, we are just consuming a lot of things. And we're doing it without thinking about it. Sometimes it's not even on us. There are toxins everywhere. Pesticides, petrol fumes, smoke fumes, creams, hair dyes, you name it. The body needs to learn how to detox all of these toxins. When I go to a restaurant nowadays, I'm always that person who's like, is it organic? Can I get dairy-free? Can I get gluten-free? Yeah. The husband in this room rolls his eyes. He's like, you could just calm down, just order something. But it's not because I'm following a fad. It's because I've done my research. And my research shows to me, and even implementing it in my lifestyle, my research and implementation shows to me that a clean, toxic-free body is closer to becoming limitless. So there you go. Being limitless is holistic. It's happiness. It's making memories. It's being present. And the universe doesn't have to give you trauma in order for you to become the best version of yourself. If you are self-aware, if you are in tune with who you are, then you will know the minute you step out of alignment. You will know when you are not being your authentic self. Being limitless is for everyone. It takes consistency and it takes work. But the beautiful thing about being limitless is that it builds a beautiful relationship with the most important person in your life, you. Thank you.